I'd like to talk to you today about the Error Journal, which is Inquiry by Design's way of working with writing conventions. You may have worked with systems in the past that featured lots of worksheets or specific writing exercises, or you might have experienced these when you were in school yourself. That's not what you'll find here. And the main reason for that is that worksheets and daily writing corrections on the whiteboard don't seem to work. Students don't seem to transfer that knowledge and instruction over to their actual writing. Now, the research around this isn't new. In fact, there's almost 100 years of research showing that decontextualized writing and grammar instruction doesn't lead to improved writing. But if you're like me, you may find that you end up doing these same things sometimes just because you don't know what else to do. Our goal with the Error Journal is to give students the opportunity to work with their own writing in context, and ultimately to create a sort of personalized style guide to help them edit their own writing with an eye toward their most common mistakes. We do this by introducing students to the use of a style guide, by letting them familiarize themselves with its contents, structure, and organization, and then asking them to make regular use of it as they return to their writing. Of course, they're not just searching blindly in their writing for what to do. They're going back to just a few places that we've marked for their attention. Now, it's easy to have an overactive pen when responding to student writing. Our internal editor kicks in, and we start marking, circling, or correcting something on every other line of a student paper. If you've ever been on the other side of that pen, you probably know that that can quickly become overwhelming when all you see on your paper is a fountain of red ink. A lot of times, students will simply shut down or internalize this idea that they are a bad writer simply because they've made errors in punctuation. So, when we mark student papers in preparation for Error Journal work, the first thing we do is skim through the paper once without marking anything, just looking to see what stands out to us. We can get a sense of whether something is simply a typo or a recurring pattern, and we can see whether there are more serious issues that need to be addressed in the writing. After a read-through, you go back and mark the 2 or 3 most prominent or most serious errors in the writing. And you don't circle them and write your correction out to the side, you just put a mark next to the sentence with some kind of identifier for what the error is. So off in the margins, it might be a check mark with the words comma splice next to it. Most of all, you don't correct it for the student. When you return the papers to students, they take a look at the 2 or 3 things you've marked, they consult the style guide and maybe a partner that they're working with, they take specific notes about the issue in their error journal, and then they make the correction in their paper. From the student side, there are a series of specific steps to any error journal entry. The first thing they do is copy down their original sentence exactly as written, errors and all, with the label original version. The next thing they do is write down what type of error is in the sentence. Now, at first, they're probably just writing down what you've identified for them, like comma splice. Then, using what they know about the style guide and the type of error they made, they begin to look for more information about what exactly that means and how to correct that type of error. They write this down in a sentence or two, and then below that, they rewrite the sentence corrected using what they've learned. The last step is to make the correction in the paper itself if it's still in a drafting stage. The first thing you might be thinking right now is, my students have no idea what to do with a style guide, and even if I identify the error for them, it's still going to be hard for them to figure out what the issue is and how to fix it. You're probably right. But remember, the first part of this work is introducing students to the style guide and giving them time to explore what it is, how it works, and how its information is organized. And we don't set students off to work on this completely alone. Most of the time, especially in the beginning, students will be working with a partner as they review any mistakes and search for solutions. Now, if you're not comfortable starting there, you can begin with whole class exercises, like the top 3 most common errors. In this case, you pull an example of each of the 3 most common mistakes you're seeing in students' writing, and in small groups, students help each other use the style guide to figure out how to correct these sentences, share responses with the class, and then review their own papers for these same types of errors. In these ways, we seek to keep instruction in grammar, punctuation, and mechanics situated in the specific contexts of student writing. Students are practicing using a style guide, rereading their own papers for editing, making corrections, and creating a personal journal filled with examples, corrections, and writing guidelines written in their own words. And as they prepare to turn in their next paper, they can take out this journal and use it as a lens to read through their own work.